Everyone, is a Mad Master doing one more video today about Roger Waters of Pink Floyd. Notorious, very smug, douchebaggy, de facto leader of Pink Floyd, former leader of Pink Floyd, who has done some brilliant music. I love Pink Floyd is probably my top 5 favorite bands. I love the Syd Barrett era, especially, and like the more experimental era that came after, before Roger Waters took over doing the concept albums, starting with Dark Side of the Moon. And I do like, I pretty much like everything that was in that era, pretty much, even up to including Final Cut. I didn't like Momentary Lapse of Reason as much when he left, or after he left. And then Division Bell's a little better with, David Gilmour at the helm. And some of his politics are a little muddled, honestly. Like, he does consider himself a socialist. He did talk a lot about Trump, and a lot of people got triggered, which I loved, because I love any time of someone's triggered by actually triggered, like, I'm not going to Roger Waters. I listened to Pink Floyd since I was 4 years old. It's like, dude, Roger Waters has been talking about politics for your whole life. You were probably like, even people that were like hippies in the 60s, like supporting Trump, and like all of a sudden triggered by anti-Trump stuff. Now, I will say though that Roger Waters went a little over the top with it. It was kind of annoying and kind of obnoxious. Like, shut up, It's like, we could have a little bit of it, but it kind of went a little over the top. Now, I'm not a socialist, so just to get that out there. But I also hear he's, I know that he's kind of a dickwad who, to his bandmates in the past, and he's kind of a smug hypocrite because he lives in in New York, the Hamptons. However, he remains a dissident leftist, not a establishment leftist. And that's nothing more apparent than the other day, where he was on Useful Idiots, which usually has Katie Halper, Matt Taibbi, and some others on it. It's Rolling Stone, but it's like, one of their probably less watched shows, and it's like definitely on the more dissident side of the left spectrum, which I consider myself still a part of to some extent. And there was a clip of Roger Waters. It was on Jimmy Dore talked about it too. So basically, if you watch this, the Young Turks have, in the past year and a half, to me, really jumped the shark. And a lot of people say, I've been criticized for this because I did watch them up until like May 2020. And what happened with me and the Young Turks is, obviously with the virus stuff, I started to see from the other side, the right-wing side, a little bit more. And even if you break it all down, and maybe there's some things I disagree with the right wing about the virus response. Maybe there are. The censorship, the shaming, the lack of discussion of oversight about civil liberties, the near worship of the face covering, from the left, just like ignoring everything else, just the way that people, it's ritualistic now with these people that are still wearing it because they don't want to seem like a Trump supporter. And that's a ritualistic kind of religious thing. These people, these conspiracy nuts and and right-wing libertarian types will write that it is kind of ritualistic of these religious way to people now. But anyways, it's becoming less, like in my town. I went out, left as you can get in this town. The Berkeley of the Midwest. Google that. You can dox me probably where I live, my town. I mentioned it in previous videos. A lot less masks today than I've ever seen since this whole thing started outside. It was very pretty cool, So my town's a little more laid back. I think the Midwest is like not as snooty about some of that stuff, anyways. So where was I going? So Roger Waters. There's this clip. There's this guy, Aaron Maté. He's like a journalists like on the Glenn Greenwald, Taibbi variety, right? And I guess he went to Syria to cover some of the civil war there. And Young Turks did this like really ridiculously hubristic video or response to Aaron Matei, and it's like on their subscriber only thing. And because he ratioed Cenk Uygur for talking about the whole Palestinian Israeli conflict as like this dumb, dullardly, like smug atheist, like pseudo, like almost like quasi Sam Harris response to the whole thing. Like, well, they're both crazy anyways. Both sides are crazy for believing in a sky god. It's like there's a lot of reasons for this conflict that have nothing to do with religion. They're totally about, you know, just different types of factions and stuff. So he was rightfully ratioed, and then in this video it was like they're attacking Aaron Matei, and then Anna Kaspari's like, fuck you. I bet you're paid by the dictators who want to kill children. And then Cenk's like, I bet that Russian coat looks good or some shit. And it's like, it just shows you how far down Young Turks has gotten. Like, and people will be like, they were always bad, Matt. They were always, you know, and they were probably, but I was, you know, was kind of blindly like following them for so long because I just gave excuses. But May of 2020, when they started to like shame Trump supporters that died of the coup, and like they were just like, another Trump supporter who was against masks dies. Like they covered all this stuff all the time. Like just basically like it was almost like they were celebrating the deaths of these people and punching down, you know, what Jimmy Dore talks about a lot, punching down. Instead of like saying, oh my God, that's terrible. You know? Well, maybe we need to communicate with these. Like, I'm just you know, sort of playing devil's advocate. Maybe we need to communicate these people about this stuff in a better way. Maybe we need to question what we're doing in response to it in these states with these governors that are, you know, not supporting their people but are locking down all this stuff. Instead of that, no. The Trump supporter died. We're gonna talk about it. They died in the coup. You know, it's like this fucking smug attitude. And there was this clip about Aaron Matei and stuff, and she's like, fuck you, you know. And Roger Waters is watching this on Useful Idiots, and they get his response. Just like, hey, who the hell is this? It's just like, you gotta see it to believe it. And one of the fucking biggest smackdowns is like, I know she's not the youngest. It was like, she was insulting Anna Kasparian for like, not like, we're like starting to lose her looks or something, which is not, you know, I don't think that's necessarily true. And she's not even that old, but it's like this like implication, like this like boomerish like fucking attacks, like, you know, they're, you know, she's past her prime. It was like, but it was like, it was deserved because like she has been so fucking like about insulting people's looks over the years and being a total hypocrite about it. She deserved all that stuff. And Cenk deserved it too. He's like, this fat pig. It was like Roger Waters was like totally being a smug asshole, but he is. Let's just be honest. Musical genius in a lot of ways, lyrical genius, smug asshole. He was totally just decimating Young Turks on air. And I was like, this is so fucking awesome. The guy, okay, let's just be honest. Okay, Roger Waters. Let's just think about this. The Young Turks probably, Pink Floyd is, if you look at Billboard, they're like they're like in top 3, I think, of best-selling albums. I think it's like AC/DC, Pink Floyd, like of all time, SoundScan era and before, like one of the biggest selling bands. He's like the guy. As far as his whole thing, he's got to be more rich than Cenk Uygur and all the Young Turks put together. The guy has fucking, like, I mean, he's toured the world and elsewhere, to quote Spinal Tap. You know, the guy has been around forever. Okay. In a way, it's like this, if he's punching down, but they deserve it in this case, because he's punching down because they do punch down, and he does not punch down as much as Young Turks does, even with his smugness, occasional superior, you know, stuff. He is not. He's not even near the hubris of fucking Young Turks. And especially in the past year and a half where I started to like, oh my God, there's something wrong with this. You know, totally excusing the corruption of Elizabeth Warren, totally backtracking on supporting Bernie Sanders in a certain way. And, you know, just from a left perspective, the Young Turks is toxic. I'm just saying it right out there. And you have one of the biggest lefties of all in music fucking punching the fuck out. It's so funny. I was going to just do a regular video on my webcam and show the video, but just look it up. It's amazing. And I've said for years, you know, not for years, but for the last year plus that Young Turks is a just awful smear merchant, yellow journalist, sensationalist, hateful channel. I mean, I like John Iridorla. Iridorla has some okay stuff once in a while. He's a little bit more of an actual journalist, or is it? I forgot his name. I forgot how to pronounce his name. But you know, a lot of these people, those two are not journalists. I mean, Anna Kasparian is not a journalist, and neither is Cenk Uygur, really. You know, douchebags. You know, and Anna just has so much hate. You know, it's like. It's horrible, you know. And I've done this video before, like I called them the InfoWars of the left, and that was kind of a allegorical thing about how the way that they've betrayed their own values over the years that they used to proclaim. And I still stand, and they're kind of grifting, you know, they're more grifters now. And that's kind of what happened with the Young Turks. And I still watch, you know, like I said, like some of the people honest, I don't like Dave Pakman's just too blah and blasé, you know, but like I still watch Kyle Kulinski all the time. I think he's definitely well above Young Turks. He should be getting the money that Young Turks does, like maybe not from Katzenberg, but you know, or Qatar or whatever the fuck they got money from. I forgot all the scandals over the years, but you know, the fact that Roger Waters came out, I mean, it was pretty amazing. And like I said, Roger Waters isn't perfect. You know, he can be criticized for a lot of stuff, like I said. But, you know, Pink Floyd is one of my biggest influences in music. I mean, just the fact that I put delay on guitar solos is Pink Floyd, pretty much. Like, before I started listening to George Lynch, who did that all the time. You know, it's like David Gilmour and Sid Barrett, you know, Echoplex and all that, you know, all that shit. That's why I fucking play it, you know, part of the reason why I play what I play. It was spacey parts and stuff, you know. So that's kind of my, you know, it's been part of my life, like, you know, Roger Waters and his whole thing, even though he's kind of a douche too, but at times. But yeah, it's like, they deserve it. I hope more celebrities call out Young Turks, you know, as time goes on. It's just, it'll be funny to see them, they're down. I mean, you know, it sounds like I have a lot of hate for them, but I do. I mean, I think they're just so repugnant. Punching, that's all they do is punch down. It's, well, Karen this, Karen that. I mean, yeah, the Karen thing's hilarious sometimes. It's kind of getting a little old now, but it used to be funny. Oh, Karen goes into Walmart without a mask. Oh my God, hilarity ensues. Ah, yeah. They have a fucking, you know, sensationalist YouTube video about that. Or, you know, they're punching down though. They're punch down. They punch down. They don't punch up enough. You know, I think Kyle Kulinski punches up. I don't see any videos like that. Like, I mean, well, okay, there's an occasional sort of video about that. And then he'll say, well, I don't think, but I still don't like what, you know, Fauci said or whatever the other day. You know, he'll still like have like a little doubt, you know, little thing, and say Maduro especially. But like, and I'm not only talking about that. I'm just talking about things in general. Like at least Kulinski acknowledges why, you know, Trump supporters are who they are or whatever, why they believe this stuff, and he'll talk about certain, you know, how we can reach them better and all this stuff. Young Turks is just about these yokels in Tennessee believe in this, Trump supporters. And it's like, who are you gonna win over other than these and then the Russiagate thing? I'm agnostic about Russiagate. I've seen good evidence on both sides. I think it was exploited and it was exaggerated, at least. But they jump on that train pretty hardcore too. And you know what makes them different from Rachel Maddow? You know, it's like, or as a, well, yeah, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say what Alex Jones used to call Rachel Maddow. It's pretty bad, but even for my channel, I'm not going to put that. But Mr. Maddow, sorry, I had to do a little Alex Jones impression. But yeah, it's pretty horrible. It's pretty repugnant. But yeah, knock the fuck out. Good on Roger Waters for knocking them the fuck out, you know? And how are they going to respond to this? That's another question. Is like, what are they going to say? It's like they do stuff on Ted Nugent all the time, but Ted Nugent is an easy target. It's like, you know, by the way, as a note, I love Amboy Dukes, and some of the solo albums are really good. I would disagree with at least half of what he says, and probably thinks he's, you know, I probably would think he's kind of sort of racist or xenophobic at least, but, you know, he's an easy target from the left, right? He's easy because he says all this outrageous shit, and like, oh my God, or, you know, Ped Nugent, as people at Blabbermouth called him, but Uncle Ped, you know, but like you know, Roger Waters is not an easy target. It's not, because he's very smart, for one. He's fucking, like, rich. I mean, he's, like I said, it's mind-blowingly, Pink Floyd is I mean, almost to my chagrin, because it's like, you say you like Pink Floyd, and people, you know, like everything Dark Side and Beyond, fuck you, you know, free Sid Barrett, I don't know, you know, I mean, they had 7 albums before Dark Side of the Moon. I'm sorry if you think it sounds like the Monkees on acid or whatever the fuck stupid opinion you have. There was a little reference to someone that actually said that once, a long time ago. But the whole thing is like, Roger Waters, well into the echelon of the elite in a certain way, even though he's kind of against the elite as well. Kind of one of those people that's kind of flirt, you know, he's in the Hamptons, for fuck's sake. He's a hypocrite, right? But, well above the pay grade of Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian. Punching down. But who gives a flying fuck? They deserve the punch down from Roger Waters. Because Roger Waters is a fucking icon. And Young Turks is named after a fucking genocide. So they can fuck off. That's about all.